If you love Dungeon Crawler Carl, He Who Fights with Monsters, or Cradle, read this. A reader's on-ramp for the integration era. You finished the last one. The series you were binging ran out of pages, or you caught up to the release schedule and now you're waiting like everyone else. And the gap where the book used to be is genuinely uncomfortable. You know the feeling well enough to recognize it as withdrawal. So you did the sensible thing and typed books like Dungeon Crawler Carl into a search bar. Welcome. This is an honest answer to that search. A short, generous tour of 3 of the genre's best, what each one actually does so well, and then, at the end, and clearly labeled as such, a pitch for mine. Credibility first. You'll hear the seam where the recommendation turns into a sell, and you can stop there if you want. So, if you love Dungeon Crawler Carl, Matt Dinniman's series is the genre's current center of gravity, and deservedly so. As of this recording, it's 8 books deep. A Parade of Horribles landed in May of 2026. It's reportedly sold past 6 million copies, and Seth MacFarlane is adapting it for a Peacock series. None of that is why people love it. People love it because it should not work, and it works anyway. The premise is pure spectacle. Earth is demolished to make a planetary dungeon. The survivors are forced to descend it as contestants on a galaxy-spanning reality show, and the whole thing is narrated with a profane, manic energy that has no business also being one of the most emotionally devastating things in the genre. The System I is a character. The cat is a character. The grief is real. Dinniman keeps escalating the absurdity and the stakes in the same motion. And the stat screens, sponsored, sarcastic, occasionally lying to you, are part of the comedy and part of the dread at once. If you want that itch scratched a little differently, here's my honest version. I can't offer you the madcap. The integration era is a quieter, colder book, and I'd be lying to set you up for laughs it doesn't deliver. What it shares with Carl is the idea that the system narrating your life is a character, with intentions you can't read, and that the notifications it sends are doing more than reporting. If the thing that hooked you was the menace under the deadpan, the sense that the interface is watching, and that it wants something, that's the thread I pull on hardest. Next, if you loved He Who Fights with Monsters. Cradle's series is the comfort end of the system shelf. And comfort is a compliment here. 12 books in, with a 13th due in late 2026, it has perfected a particular pleasure. A snarky, principled protagonist dropped into an unfamiliar magic system, leveling through it with a steady drip of skills, ranks, and dry one-liners. Jason Asano talks too much, on purpose, and the books know it. The progression is legible and satisfying, the world keeps widening, and there's always another volume. What it gets right is serialized momentum. You always know roughly what the next reward is, and the system keeps the promise. That's a real craft, and it's the engine that lets a series run to a dozen books without the reader ever feeling lost. If you want that itch scratched a little differently, the integration era is more measured, and more character first, and the protagonist is not a quip machine. He reads rooms the way other people breathe, and most of what he notices he keeps to himself. The shared DNA is the explicit, on-the-page system. Real stats, real skills, a world that keeps score. If you came for the snark specifically, fair warning, mine is drier and rarer. If you came for the satisfying click of a system that pays out what it promises, you'll be at home. And if you loved Cradle, Will White's Cradle is the clean machine. 12 main series volumes, finished, with a stories collection out in 2025, and an animated adaptation in development. Which means you can start it today, and binge an entire completed arc, the rarest gift in a genre built on cliffhangers and waiting. Lyndon climbs from powerless to apocalyptic across a power ladder so clearly built that you can feel each rung. There are no literal stat boxes anywhere in it. This is progression fantasy, not strict lit RPG, and it's the cleanest example of the difference. If that distinction is new to you, there's a whole post on it, linked in the show notes. What Cradle does better than almost anyone is make advancement feel earned. The breakthroughs cost something. The prose is lean, the emotional payoffs are set up books in advance, and the climb has weight because White never gives Lyndon a level he didn't pay for. If you want that itch scratched a little differently, the integration era has the same progression fantasy bones, a climb that costs, advancement that has to be earned and re-earned, but it puts the numbers back on the page. Where Cradle keeps the latter implicit, the integration shows you the readout, then asks the uncomfortable question Cradle's cleaner frame doesn't. What does it do to a person to be measured precisely and forever by something that never explains itself? Same spine, different nervous system. So here's the pitch. This is the seam. Everything up to now I'd recommend to a stranger with no agenda. Here's the one with an agenda. The Integration Era is a science fiction series about a world remade by an alien system nobody asked for. The premise: an intelligence arrives, switches on without warning, and begins measuring every sentient being in known space, assigning each of them 6 stats, and a designation, a verdict on who they are. The catch the whole series turns on is that the numbers don't describe you. They're a claim the system is making about you, and then making true. A high score in frame doesn't report that your bones are strong. It reinforces them until they are. It's lit RPG with progression fantasy bones. The machinery is explicit and on the page, but the engine of the story isn't the numbers going up. It's what a lifetime of being measured does to the people living inside the measurement. If you want the system to mean something, to be a pressure on a character rather than a scoreboard beside one, that's the corner of the shelf I'm writing for. It won't replace the 3 I just praised. It's not trying to. It's the grounded, slightly colder one you read next. Want to try it free? Start with the reader's primer. A short, no-spoilers orientation to the world and its 6-stat system, plus where to begin reading. Free membership at integrationera.com puts every new post and story in your inbox the day it goes public. No designation required. The Integration Era is a science fiction series about a world remade by an alien system nobody asked for. You've been listening to The Integration Era by Charlie Fort. All content is copyright 2026 by Charlie Fort, all rights reserved. Voices produced by Speechify. New stories, world-building deep dives, character dossiers, and more are available now at integrationera.com. Subscribe to get notified when the next post drops. The system is watching. You might as well keep up.